thick through thin and through all things great and small. And I would say this is more thin than thick.
Pretty thin.
It's very thin. Matt, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yes. We're going to keep Steven waiting. I feel bad now.
Steven has been waiting. Steven is, by the way, he is a core listener and one of our favorites. And Steven has been waiting for a while now. I think he's just listening to the show.
He wants to hear you.
Yeah, he wants to hear you, as does the audience, as do we. And then and plus, Matt, it also teases the audience because they're thinking, gosh, what is Steven going to say when Matt's done?
Steven's got something to say if he's waiting this long.
Yeah, he's got something to say. So we're going to hold that audience over. What do you have to say, though? And Matt, help. I'm not as dramatic as I am with every one of my other teams. I'm weirdly not as dramatic with the Niners. I still have hope. I still hope they can do this, that, and things click. And I'm not in the fire Kyle. What Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have done for this team. I'd rather be here than 27, 28 other teams. But at some point, the blown leads in the fourth quarter, the numbers that I'm sure have crossed your desk, it kind of becomes a thing where you just scratch your head and go, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know if there's an easy answer. This is a team that despite all of its talent, has gone into funks in the past. It was that 3-game losing streak at midseason last year, but that squad woke up out of that funk, and they got really good. And they immediately woke up with a win over Jacksonville coming out of the bye, and then of course the big win in Philadelphia, and they were blowing teams out. I mean, they were clearly the class of the NFC. This team still hasn't woken up. I mean, it's still sort of in neutral. It's a middle class team. They're 5-5. I mean, there's no way around that. They're just maybe slightly better than mediocre, and we keep waiting for that 2023 team to sort of click in because the pieces are there. McCaffrey's back now. Juwan Jennings is having a great game, having great games. Brock Purdy, Fred Warner. The secondary is arguably better than it was a year ago, but there's no knockout punch. They can't pull away from anybody. They play to the level of their competition, and that's sort of a sign of a middling team, and that's exactly who they are right now.
Talk with Matt Barrows is brought to you by Stockton Honda. Matt, on the broadcast yesterday, they were talking a lot about the impact of George Kittle. Obviously, he didn't play. That's a reality. It happens to other teams. Nobody feels sorry for you. But as you've seen this team, and they also addressed that could be one of the most important Niners to miss, not only in the obvious pass game, but in the run game as well. How much of an impact did you find it them playing without Kittle yesterday?
Yeah, huge. I mean, he missed the week 3 game in Los Angeles. You guys remember what happened there. Big Juwan Jennings game, but really nothing else happening in that game. And that was the storyline here. You hit on something, Jason. They're missing him in the running game as well. They tried putting Jalen Moore, a tackle, in there for a little extra oomph. But that didn't work. Christian McCaffrey eked out, 71 yards, which was good. I mean, the Seahawks were stacking that box. They had 8 men basically the whole game. 49ers couldn't run to the outside. That's a Kittle specialty. So it does sort of underscore his importance. He's sort of, he is to the offense what Fred Warner, I think, is to the defense. I mean, you miss those guys and you're missing sort of the personality, the character, what the team does best on both of those units.
So and also Trent Williams, who it ain't right, it seems. On top of Kittle, they couldn't run. You mentioned the 79 yards, a little over 4 a carry for Christian McCaffrey, and I'll ask you later about his workload. But they couldn't run. But also, Brock Purdy with 159 yards and a pick. It's not like they were Air Coryell out there. So, was this something? And both is a perfectly acceptable answer, Matt. But was this something that the Seahawks did special for the Niners that stood out to you, or was this more of the Niners just missing things?
I mean, this defense has been difficult for the 49ers and for Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. This is similar to the Ravens defense that came in last year and just throttled them. So yeah, I mean, it's teams are playing more man coverage against the 49ers. Anytime you see Brock Purdy take off and run, you can almost bet that it's he's looking at man coverage there. And he's betting that, you know what, I'm going to be able to get more yards with my legs than I could if I put this ball up. And that's something that the 49ers need to figure out. I mean, it's not going to stop. It's only going to increase. And if this season continues to kind of go this 500 way and they don't make the playoffs, that's got to be priority one in the offseason. Figure that out. Bring in somebody who can beat man coverage. Because it's not happening consistently enough right now. You mentioned Brock Purdy's 159 yards. That's the third lowest outing he's had. And I'm including the Philadelphia game in the NFC Championship when he hurt his elbow in the first quarter. So 159 for Brock Purdy is extremely modest. And it speaks to the injuries and it speaks to what defenses are throwing in front of him.
Man, I was talking about the injury to George Kittle not playing and the impact of that. How about the Bosa injury? He was playing and playing well in the game. Then he leaves, and the Niners, as you know, the offense wasn't dynamic, but the defense could have helped them win that game. What was the impact of Bosa leaving, and how that hurt them really close out a winnable game for them?
Yeah, I mean, you just wonder if Bosa's out there during that drive. He's going to have one play. At least one play out there. It obviously hurt them. It hurts them going forward. He didn't seem all that optimistic that he'd be able to play in Green Bay. If you watch the replay, he gets the sack in the third quarter and he's out there for the next snap, and he comes out of his stance and, he looks like a grandpa at that point. I mean, he's just not firing from his hips, and he's trying to kind of work it out on the sideline. It's just not happening for him. So very hard to see that, getting cured in a week, heading up to Green Bay. And so now you go to Green Bay with Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos as your top two defensive ends. Then you got Sam Okwonu just learning the game, and Robert Beal Jr. as your backups. That's a very, very, I don't even know if mediocre covers it. That's an ordinary group. Now we're looking at, a Christian McCaffrey-led team, maybe as talented as the Carolina Panthers teams that it used to be on. I mean, we're talking all of a sudden this elite team is very ordinary going into these next couple of games if they don't get these guys back.
Matt, do you think somewhere in a back room, has there been a conversation, or is there a trigger point where, I don't know what it would take. Maybe it's losing the next two, but where this team looks at their record, and if it doesn't go the right way, they start shutting people down?
I don't know about that. I mean, the question would be, okay, now's the time that you start playing, your young players and your rookies.
Right.
They've been doing that since jump. I mean,
right.
Look at all the rookies that played well. I mean, Malik Mustafa, I thought had a really nice game. I mean, I think if this season goes south, it can be hard to find silver linings, but one of them will be that, Mustafa and Jair Brown, who are 24 and 22 respectively, played a lot of snaps this season and are going to benefit from it going into next year. Renardo Green played a lot of snaps this season. Dominic Pooney, Ricky Pearsall played a lot of snaps. These are all guys that you would count on in year two. So I don't know how much things would change. I mean, maybe less Christian McCaffrey, maybe more, finally getting Jacob Cowing into the offense. It's something that fans have been waiting on all season. There are definitely things that they can do, but for the most part, this has already been a young team that's played a lot of rookies.
Matt, I think you said it, Dave said it, I think we all thought the turnaround would happen and they'd get hot, and it hasn't, obviously, and I guess still could. But for the guys that have been there a long time, that have done the winning when it's been a bad patch, like Kittle, like Trent Williams, Warner, pick your Niners that have been there for a while, what are they saying? What was kind of their locker room tone? Because I bet they're a bit surprised that this is where they are through 10 games.
Yeah, surprised and frustrated. I mean, nobody has a louder, more consistent voice in that locker room than Fred Warner. And Fred Warner had the best quote of the game. He said, losing fourth quarter leads is not us. And then he paused and he said, well, until we show otherwise, I guess it is us. I guess this has become our identity this year. And it has. There's no way around it. I just wonder, I mean, he's constantly trying to rally this team. He, in the locker room, pregame, halftime, he is the voice. But at some point, I mean, I just don't know how often you can go to that well all the time before it just becomes so repetitive that it just turns into noise. It's got to be frustrating for him because I'm sure he's hitting all the right buttons that he's hit in the past. They're just not working this year. It's a good question. These next two games are not going to be easy. Kyle Shanahan's point, though, has been, sometimes when you go on the road, you go to a tough place, that can be galvanizing. You're away from your families. It's just your guys. You're in a hotel room. There's nothing to do in snowy, cold Buffalo, nothing to do in snowy, cold Green Bay. And you rally. And, that would be a wonderful storyline that they went to these two really tough places to play against very good teams with good quarterbacks, and they won those games. It's very hard for us to imagine that happening given what we've just been seeing. But like I said, it would be a very sweet storyline, and it would finally be that pulse, that burst of energy that we've been expecting from this team all season.
Matt, Juwan Jennings, 10 catches on 11 targets. McCaffrey, 4 on 5 targets. Juszczyk, 2 on 2. Even Samuel, 4 on 7. From you watching the game rather than the numbers I'm reading, does that speak more to Purdy and Shanahan should have been more aggressive through the air because they were having success, or that Purdy was doing a really good job reading coverages and either altering or throwing the ball away due to Seattle's defense?
Yeah, I mean, he was taking what Seattle was giving him, which was a lot of short stuff. I mean, the longest play of the game was a 22-yarder.
Yeah.
That's nothing. And the other thing that stands out from that group is that there's only 2 wide receivers included in that. Jennings and Samuel are the only players that caught passes, and Samuel's were all very, very short. And 2 of them, by the way, came on that, in the last 12 seconds. Just little kind of hook and lateral plays. So he did not have a prolific game. Ricky Pearsall didn't catch a pass. Nothing went Chris Conley's direction. Jacob Cowing, I don't even know if he played an offensive snap. So that position, they didn't get much, beyond Juwan Jennings. That was basically a missing position for them against the Seahawks. And that kind of speaks to what I was talking about earlier. I mean, defenses are figuring out ways to take away wide receivers, take away big plays, take away those consistent throws over the middle that the 49ers have lived on in recent seasons. And the 49ers have not consistently figured out the requisite chess move to counteract that.
Matt, and then the fact that, look, no one's happy that they've given back 3 games, but the fact that it's all been division teams, the one they gave to the Cardinals, the Rams, and then this one, they brought Seattle back into the mix. They're all chasing Arizona. I mean, just their own self-destruction. They still have chances here, but I just can't believe all of those losses in the give-back form came to division teams.
Yeah, and they all sort of happened the same way, leading in the fourth quarter and then losing. The silver lining is that they're only a game behind the Cardinals. The bad part of that is that they've lost to each of these teams already. So they need to be ahead of them if they want to win the division. That's going to be tough because if there are any ties at the end of the year, it's hard to see the 49ers winning any of those tiebreakers. The other silver lining is that we still have, 2 months worth of games really. It can change pretty rapidly. But it's not looking good.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we're sitting here in a couple weeks and the Niners are finishing up 12-5 with wins in Buffalo, Green Bay, and at home against Detroit, I guess we're all in a better mood, right?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. And
All right,
maybe we stumble over, a briefcase full of cash at some point.
Ooh.
That could happen too.
I like that idea.
I don't see what the issue is with that. I'm all over the.
You guys obviously haven't seen No Country for Old Men, because that guy stumbles over a briefcase full of cash and his life does not turn out well after that.
No, I've seen it.
You were just thinking about the money.
I just don't like Coen Brothers movies.
Oh.
For the most part. I know that's a whole different road, Matt. Matt, that movie was so well acted. It was so beautifully shot. It was so well written. Javier Bardem's performance was a tour de force. Yet they killed Josh Brolin's character off screen, and at the end, I don't know what the hell is going on. I always feel like the Coen brothers are trolling. I know you didn't ask for this, but you hit me on the
But
right.
you got it.
You got it, pal.
Yeah, we just went off on a
I know,
it's movie night on Sactown Sports.
Oh, by the way, before we let you go,
yeah.
We like to play. This is a new game we like to call "Has Matt Barrows Heard the Song?"
There is no way, Matt, on this. Last week I was confident, and I'll say you let me down, but that's okay.
Double Dutch bus.
Yeah, but this is not a me selection. This is a Dave selection.
This is a man and a woman singing in a thrift store. And we'll give you a few bars and see if you've seen this around. Here we go.
Taste the goodness of the biscuit. Taste the honey sauce. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce. Don't get that honey sauce on me.
Don't do it.
I don't like the way it tastes with my chicken wings. Taste the biscuit.
Well, you get the idea. Is that something that's maybe on your Spotify playlist?
It's not on my spot. I'm just going to take a wild swing here.
Yeah.
Is it Captain and Tennille?
No,
good
I mean,
pull.
that's a really good pull. No, we don't know who the hell they are.
It's just knockoff Captain.
You don't even know?
No, it's a guy in a. It's
an internet thing.
Yeah, it looks like they're maybe in their 60s. Guy and a lady literally in the middle of a thrift store, singing about the biscuits and honey and KFC and coleslaw. I don't know. It caught my ear though.
I thought you guys were taking me back to like the 70s or something like that. And have I heard of this band?
No, this was an unfair test.
What was the big Captain and Tennille song?
Oh, Love Will Keep Us
Do that to me one more
that
time.
one, but
Level what?
Bring us together.
Oh,
keep us together.
Muskrat Love. Love will keep us together.
There you go. That one's.
All right. Well, it's Captain and Tennille Monday with Matt Barrows from The Athletic.
That's going to be my walk-in music from now on. I could just see it.
Muskrat Love every We will have a great weekend, and we'll see. Are you going to Lambeau? Or are you making that trip?
So I'm going to have to talk to you guys on Tuesday these next 2 weeks. It's going to be a brutal travel schedule for Matt Barrows. I'm going to need a little Muskrat Love coming out of you.
Pack some warm clothes.
Oh, we'll see you next week. Have a safe trip, my friend. Take care.
See you guys.
That's Matt Barrows. We were both right on that. We didn't. If Matt had heard that one. Well, let me ask you this: if Matt was like, "Oh yeah,"
I would have been more angry.
You would have been angry because of Double Dutch Bus.
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't know that one, but he knows "Taste the Biscuit," which I don't think is the title.
What if he was